Level 1. The Recruit. The door closes behind you with a heavy metallic thud, the kind of sound that doesn't just echo in the hallway, but settles somewhere deeper inside you, making it clear that whatever you were before this moment has been left on the other side. You stand still for a second, trying to adjust to the harsh fluorescent lights above, but there's no time to process anything because a voice cuts through the silence, sharp and controlled, ordering you to stand straight, and you obey instantly without even realizing you've already begun to change. There's no introduction, no explanation of what's coming next, just movement, commands, and expectation. And you quickly understand that this place doesn't care about who you are or what you believe. It only cares about how fast you can adapt. Your days begin before the sun rises, dragged out of sleep by voices that don't repeat themselves, and your body learns faster than your mind ever could, because hesitation here isn't corrected with words, but with consequences that don't need to be explained. You run until your lungs burn, not because distance matters, but because endurance does, and every step feels like it's stripping something away from you. Comfort, doubt, hesitation, until all that's left is movement and obedience. Meals are short, silent, and mechanical, and conversations don't exist because no one here is interested in who you used to be, only in whether you can become what they need. At night, when the noise finally fades and you lie on a thin mattress, staring at the ceiling, you try to hold on to pieces of your old life, but they already feel distant, like something you watched instead of lived. You tell yourself this is temporary, that this is just a phase, something you'll survive and move past, but deep down there's a quiet realization beginning to form, that survival here doesn't mean staying the same, it means becoming something else entirely. And the moment your name is called, not shouted, but spoken calmly in front of everyone, you feel it clearly for the first time. You're no longer just another recruit, and whatever comes next will expect more from you than simple obedience. Level 2. The Soldier. The weapon is placed in your hands without ceremony, its weight settling naturally against your grip as if it has always belonged there, and you don't hesitate, because by now hesitation has been trained out of you in ways you don't even notice anymore. You're no longer just someone being shaped, you're someone being used. Your world becomes smaller but more defined, structured around your unit, your role, and the chain of command that stretches upward beyond anything you can see. And you learn quickly that understanding the system isn't necessary, only functioning within it is. Training shifts from breaking you to refining you, and every movement now has purpose, how you stand, how you walk, how you react, until everything becomes automatic, precise, and controlled. Thinking becomes quieter, reaction becomes faster, and slowly, almost without realizing it, you begin to trust the system more than your own instincts. Your first deployment isn't dramatic. There's no battlefield or chaos, just a long, dusty road and a checkpoint where hours stretch into something that feels endless, but the tension never really leaves. Every car that approaches carries a question, every face carries uncertainty, and every second reminds you that nothing here is as simple as it looks. When a man steps out of his vehicle and begins walking towards you faster than expected, your body reacts before your mind does, your grip tightening around your weapon as your focus narrows onto him completely. And in that moment, you realize something important, not fear, but control. He slows down just enough, raising his hands as he comes to a stop, and the situation dissolves as quietly as it formed, but the effect it leaves behind stays with you far longer. Because in that moment, you understand what power actually feels like. It's not loud, not aggressive, not even visible to anyone else. It's silent, controlled, and always present in the space between action and consequence. And once you feel it, you can't unlearn it.
2. Level 3. The operator. It starts the moment you're pulled aside without explanation, away from your unit and into a smaller room where the air feels different, quieter, heavier, as if whatever happens here matters more than anything outside. The man across the table doesn't raise his voice, doesn't threaten you, doesn't need to, because the way he looks at you already assumes you understand what's being offered and what's expected in return. You're not told you've been chosen. You're simply given instructions that only someone chosen would receive. Your assignments change. No more checkpoints, no more visible presence. Now you move through places that don't officially exist in reports, working in environments when nothing is recorded and everything is remembered. You learn to watch without being seen, to listen without reacting, to exist without leaving a trace, and slowly your role shifts from being part of the system to becoming one of its hidden tools. Information becomes your new currency, not weapons, not strength, but knowledge. Who meets who speaks out of turn, who hesitates when they shouldn't. And the first time you report something that leads to consequences for someone else, you don't see what happens next, but you know enough to understand that your words now carry weight far beyond your presence. At first, you tell yourself you're just doing your job, that you're protecting something bigger, that there are reasons you don't need to understand. And that logic holds until it doesn't. Because one day, the name you're asked to observe is familiar. Not close enough to refuse, but close enough to feel something. And for a brief moment, something old tries to surface inside you. Hesitation, doubt, a question you used to ask yourself. But it fades just as quickly as it appears, because by now you've learned that in this system, hesitation isn't just dangerous, it's irrelevant. You complete the task, exactly as instructed, and when it's done, nothing changes on the surface. No recognition, no acknowledgement, just silence. But inside, something shifts. You stop separating yourself from the system. You stop seeing your actions as individual choices, and instead, you begin to understand something far more dangerous. You are no longer just following orders. You are becoming the reason they work. Level 4. The Enforcer. The first time you give an order, it feels wrong. Not because you doubt it, but because you notice how easily it comes out. Clear, direct, without hesitation. You're no longer observing, you're executing. And more importantly, others are executing because of you. Your authority isn't announced, it's understood. People adjust the way they stand when you enter a room, conversations stop just slightly earlier, and eyes shift in ways that tell you everything you need to know without a single word being spoken. Respect isn't given here, it's calculated, measured, earned through consistency, not kindness. Your operations become more direct. Interventions, detentions, situations where the line between control and force doesn't just blur, it disappears entirely. And the first time things escalate further than expected, you don't freeze, you don't question it, because by now your instincts have aligned with the system so completely that reacting feels natural. Afterward, when everything settles and the environment returns to silence, you notice something subtle but important. You don't replay the moment. You don't analyze it. You don't even justify it. You simply move on. That's when you realize the real transition. It's not the authority. It's not the control. It's the absence of conflict inside you. You begin to understand that power at this level isn't about being aggressive. It's about being necessary. And once you're necessary, you're protected. Level 5. The Coordinator. Now you don't move. Others move for you. Your world shifts from physical presence to strategic oversight, where operations are no longer something you participate in directly, but something you design, adjust, and control from a distance. Screens replace streets, reports replace conversations, and outcomes replace actions. You manage multiple units at once, each one operating under instructions that only make sense when viewed from your position, and you quickly realize that most people below you don't need the full picture, they only need their part. That's how the system stays efficient, and more importantly, that's how it stays hidden. Decisions come faster now, not because they're easier, but because hesitation no longer serves any purpose. You weigh outcomes, not emotions. You calculate impact, not morality. And when something goes wrong, and it always does, you don't react emotionally. You adjust, you correct, you replace. People become variables, movable, replaceable, necessary only as long as they function. At night, when everything slows down, there's a brief moment where silence feels different, heavier than before, but it doesn't last long because your mind is already moving to the next operation, the next decision, the next outcome. You don't notice it happening, but you've crossed another line. You stop seeing individuals, you see systems. Level 7. The inner circle. Access changes everything. There are rooms now that don't exist on any official map, meetings that are never recorded, and decisions that are never written down but still shape everything beneath them, and you're inside them. You sit with people whose names aren't spoken publicly, whose influence doesn't need recognition because it's already built into the system itself. At this level, power isn't visible, it's assumed. Conversations are short, precise, loaded with meaning that doesn't need to be explained because everyone in the room already understands the context behind every word. You don't discuss actions, you discuss outcomes. What needs to happen, what needs to disappear, what needs to be controlled before it becomes a problem. And for the first time, you begin to see the full structure, not just the operations, not just the systems, but the design behind them. You realize something unsettling. The system doesn't react, it anticipates. And now, so do you. Level 8. The architect. Silence becomes permanent. You don't attend most meetings anymore. You don't give direct orders. You don't need to. The system runs because it was built to run, and you were part of building it. Your influence is no longer tied to presence. It exists in the structure itself, in the way decisions are made, in the way information moves, in the way outcomes unfold without needing intervention. You don't think in days or weeks, you think in patterns, in long-term shifts that take years to fully reveal themselves. There's no urgency anymore, no tension, no visible pressure, just control. But with that control comes something else, distance. You don't see the people affected by your decisions, you don't hear the consequences, you don't feel the impact, and over time, you stop expecting to. Because at this level, power isn't emotional, it's structural, and structures don't feel anything. Late at night, in the rare moments where everything slows down, there's a quiet awareness that settles in, not regret, not doubt, but something more subtle. The realization